Welcome to the Misfit One Lifestyles with Elizabeth Colin. She will awaken and connect with your Misfit One. Are you tired of the ups and downs in your life? Are you ready to live a healthy lifestyle once and for all? We are talking about all aspects of your life. Being fit is not just physical, it's also your mind and soul. Learn how to take steps in your life to move towards your goals. Elizabeth's goal is for everyone listening to the sound of her voice to get fit. Let's get focused, let's get intentional, and let's transform. Now here's your host, Elizabeth Colin.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Misfit One Lifestyles with your girl, Elizabeth Colin, also known as Misfit One. And today, my guest is the one and only award-winning, okay, let me say that again, award-winning, he is the man, Jared. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me and for that amazing introduction.
Listen, I am so excited to talk to you for so many reasons. For you guys who don't know, and I'm sure everybody know, that you are the director, right, for Washed.
Correct.
And it's on Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah. You can watch it on Amazon Prime if you are a Prime user, or you can go to our website, washseries.com. If you're feeling, if you want to watch it in both places, I won't be mad.
Yeah, you can do that. You know, we don't let us hold you back. You know, you go ahead and be great. You go ahead and be great. But let me ask you this. How did you come up with that? Well, first of all, tell everybody what it's about.
So Washed is a coming of adulthood story. The term Wash is short for washed up. And initially when I came up with the idea, the show was called Quarter Life Crisis, and that's too long. And social media, the term wash is very popular among social media. LeBron James actually just started calling himself the Washed King recently.
Really?
So in season one of Wash, it's surrounded around one main character, Mark, and he's turning 30 and he's just feeling washed up and he's not quite where he wants to be in life, right? You know, when you're 18, you graduate high school, you're like, by 30, that's a long way from 18. Mm-hmm. By 30, you're going to be a millionaire. You might be playing for the Los Angeles Lakers. And, you know, you're going to have all your life's desires at 30 and then live happily ever after. Then you wake up at 30 and it's not quite that.
No.
So that was season one, and it was told from a male perspective. But in season two, we took it up a whole new level. And I don't even call it season two. I like to call it Wash 2.0. That's actually what I should have named it, Wash 2.0, because we go from a single lead show to an ensemble. So now you have 4-5 different storylines going on at one time, 4 to 5 different lead characters, and you get immersed into the whole Wash lifestyle. And the tagline is, do dreams expire? And so you have all these folks feeling like their dreams have an expiration date. It's that old gallon of milk, and you got to get to it before it's gone. Right. And you got to throw it away. So that's basically what it is. It's centered around 30-somethings just coming of adulthood and trying to deal with the everyday life of seeing your dreams slip away.
You know, I love it. I was like binge watching it, and I was laughing so hard because I totally remember that moment in my life. I'm almost 50, so it's a whole different thing for me, right? It's like when I was, listen, I have lived, my friend. I have lived. And I laugh so hard because that is really what happens. You know, in your 20s, I thought, I'm the shit. I got this going on. I know what I'm doing. Blah, blah, blah. Then 30 come around and you go, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like,
it's funny. It's funny because, not to interrupt you, but in college, you have, and in your young 20s, you have all this swagger. You got everything figured out until one day you don't.
You're like, what? And then you look confused. Like, wait a minute. Like, did everybody just make it like faking me out or what? Like, is this real? Because I totally remembered that moment, and I was like, well, listen here. Let me. I don't know jack. This is when you start calling your daddy. Like, my mom passed when I was young, so all I have is my dad. So I call my dad, like, listen, I thought that I was really doing well. And I think when you're in college, you have that false sense of security.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My daughter is my youngest, my baby, the last of the Mohicans. She literally just graduated from college, and she's 21. And when you are in college, she thinks she got it going on. She is like the shiz Nick.
Yeah.
Right? But then when you graduate, she's like, well, I'm not making enough money because I have a degree. I should be making more money. I should be doing this. And it's so funny because I figured it out. You really do have this safe spot in college because you're not quite on your own yet because your parents are still helping you pay your bills because you're going to school, but you living like you're free.
Yeah. And I think that bravado and that confidence, it's almost kind of the school system and college is set up for you to win, for you to have achievements and to have achievements quick. Like you're gonna continually feel success if you are a bit ambitious or you just try, right? Because they want to create that circular reinforcement. But once you get out of college, it stops.
Yeah.
Like you still have that entitlement of your youth, but now in the real world, those accomplishments don't come every few months. They might come every few years, but you have to work really hard at them. So it's a psychological game that is hard. It's a psychological, not game. It's kind of it's a hindrance sometimes because when you get to your 30s, you're like, man, I'm not really achieving all the things I was achieving. And I don't have that because I haven't experienced all those wins. And I don't have a lot. Time doesn't necessarily seem to be on my side. Right.
Right.
And so it's interesting psychologically. And I actually figured this out when I graduated college, because I did go through moments like mentally and emotionally where I wasn't as high as I used to be. Right. I was in college. I was high off life. Right. Party on Friday, Saturday, go to school. You're at this big institution, at least I was. And I was just, but then when you graduate, it's like, man, like your daughter, I got a degree. Where's my money? Like I did this. Where's my money? Right? And the world has a way of knocking you on your ass.
Yes, have several seats. Have several seats. Don't call us. We will call you. Right? Yeah. That's pretty much it. Which is so true. It's just and it's funny because now I recognize it, right? Now I see, I know exactly where you are, little one, and your feelings get hurt. And what really scares me is that I think those are the people, the ones that have all those wins and like killing it in school. I think those are the ones who usually do drugs because now they're searching that high.
Yep.
That they didn't, they're no longer getting, and you're used to that, right? Especially if you're a good athlete or a good student. I mean, you are the man, you are the woman, and then when you go out, you kind of not. Like you said it best.
Have you ever heard of Olympian depression?
Olympian depression? No.
So,
school us.
After the Olympics, a lot of Olympians, whether they win or they lose, go through depression because they work 4 years for this massive moment, and in a blink of an eye, it's done.
Right.
And what you're just saying is like folks that are amazing athletes, I think it's a big hurdle once the world comes crashing down and you're no longer the
center of the universe.
Yeah, the center of the universe. So you have to learn to deal with that. And I think, not to get too philosophical, but people underestimate the value of adversity and the value of struggling, right? And as a father to be, I think about how I will handle that whole, allowing my daughter to struggle, right? Because somebody that grew up very poor, like beyond poor, right? Beyond bologna sandwiches, below them, whatever's below that. The little turkey meat you buy in the packages for 50 cents.
That spam. That spam was, that was like steak, no?
and like, not that I'm nowhere near where I want to be or I'm nowhere near rich, but I'm better than what I came up under, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like, I think that helped me tremendously in just seeing the bottom and knowing where the bottom's at, where I need to, I don't know what that is for my daughter or what she needs to see, but she
Right.
needs to see adversity and overcome it, because when you overcome adversity, it builds muscles, right?
Yes.
And so the next time you see it, is to get it back to like television or film, is that having produced my first series in 2 seasons, the next time I do it, I'm going to build a team better. I'm going to handle situations better,
Right.
right? And it's the same with life.
Absolutely. And listen, on this platform, we're going to get real, be authentic. Let's go wherever you want to go, because
Yeah.
it's important to let people see who you are and the behind the logic and everything that you put in, because a lot of times people just see you guys and like, oh my gosh, you're so successful, you was born that way, like look at him, he was in here doing it from the time he was born. I have no way of getting there because I'm not him. So I really appreciate you saying that, you know, you didn't start off where you are now.
No, definitely. I never thought I would be a director or producer or writer. That wasn't in the cards until a little bit, probably at least until college and until recently doing like scripted television. And I definitely, if anybody ever wants to talk to me about coming from humble beginnings, I can lay it all out for you and let you know that there is a pathway to wherever you want to go. It might not be the most direct path, but there's always side doors you can sneak in.
Yeah, I like that you said that, because it's very true. My platform is fit, right? So it's focus, intentional, and transforming. And what you're saying right there is exactly what I talk about, right? You have to know where you want to go. Once you figure that out, you start moving with intention, those side doors.
Yep. That's the biggest thing in life, is kind of knowing where you want to go. One of my favorite quotes is, you better know where you're going or you might end up somewhere else.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot, because it's very true. And I love the fact that you're about to be a daddy. I am giddy, because life is going to really be amazing. Listen, it's a whole different world when you become a parent. And now that I'm a grandma, it's just insane. It's just crazy how that happens. But I think you have a very valid point of what you're going to do with your little one, so that she can learn how to work that muscle. Because, I come from very humble beginnings, and I didn't want my kids to ever struggle. Right. So I created a monster. Like my oldest daughter, I created that monster. I was like, oh, Lord, I created that monster because I wanted to make sure they go to the best schools. They had the best this. I didn't want them to ever go through what I went through. But that was a learning lesson. Like you said, with your industry, you're going to have a better team. You're going to do things different. You learn like, okay, that first kid is like, oopsie.
You were the trial and error.
Yeah, you made it. You good. You good. And so it's true. You have a very valid point. You can't go too far over, and it's crazy how that is.
And I think we also got to give ourselves some leeway and some grace in that you make the best decisions at the time. Because I know I'm going to make plenty of bad decisions. And the same thing with like TV and film. Like I can hardly ever watch my show anymore, or anything I've done over the past 15 years. I can't, because I know all the flaws and what it's supposed to be. But I try to still give myself and I have friends that remind me, they're like, you can be hard on yourself and get better, but don't totally discount, what you've done and what you've achieved. Because we all try to make the best decision with what's available at that time.
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, I say it all the time.
Right? So we have to work with what we got. It was like, oh, that was great. Or, oh, wait, let me see. I'm going to tweak this a little bit and keep going. But that's all part of growth. though. That's what makes you such an amazing director. You see
Thank
it,
you.
you grow from it. And let me tell you, I laughed so hard when when Mark was going to go out to party for his birthday
Yeah.
and he fell asleep. Listen, I understand that so much.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I really love your series is because it's real life, it's real truth.
Yeah.
And like in the series, the first series, the first season,
Mm-hmm.
I love how he's uncertain and he want to change his job. He want to do this. And that's real shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Like
really
a lot of times you're like, man, should I just up and quit? Something drastic.
I do something drastic. Like, this is not working for me. Like what? Like what? Now this, all of this. I need to like move to Belize or, we go through stuff and we want to make a big change in that shift
Mm-hmm.
so that we can get that high again. We feeling stifled,
Yep. Yeah. I
right?
think we all go through that, and we all,
Oh,
and also a cautionary tale is to be careful what you wish for, because God will actually give it to you, which was one of the very last lines in season 1 was, be careful what you wish for, because God may actually give it to you, and the one thing that you think will make your life more livable will be the exact thing will make you miserable.
amen. And that is the truth. Now, how did you come up with this? Like you said, you didn't know that he was going to be a director or a producer.
Yeah.
What was that moment that you said, oh, I can do this?
So I went to film school, and out of film school, I went to ESPN. I worked there for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I went to the Texas Rangers, the baseball team. I led their creative department for 3 years, but I had never did like scripted. So there's a difference between doing commercials and doing documentaries and even doing like features and then jumping over and having 10 episodes or 8 episodes, and they're all scripted. And now you're trying to figure out how to go from 30 seconds to 30 minutes. And so I had left the Texas Rangers. I had gotten an MBA, my graduate degree. So I was like, let me go get an MBA job. Went and got the MBA job that lasted 1 year. I went from a skyrise office in downtown Dallas to the unemployment line, and I was nearing the age 30, and I was like, and I wanted to get back to creating, and I had the idea. And initially it was about balancing this kind of dual identity, because growing up in the hood and then growing out of the hood to brunch on Sundays, a little yoga, got a mortgage, got a wife. So it's kind of like battling these dual identities, and you still see a little bit of that in Washed, especially if you get to season 2. So like I said, season 2 is a totally different show, and you still see the foundation and kind of the elements of what I'm trying to say, but it just morphs into this because it's this experience I had of growing older. And not necessarily feeling accomplished, but not feeling like where when you're unemployed and you're accomplished, you're like,
I have a degree. I should be making lots of money.
I had 2 degrees.
Yeah.
And I had 2 degrees, 2 Emmys, and I was like, man, where did I go wrong? What was the decision?
Yeah.
So, and I don't think I went wrong. I don't think I went wrong. I think I made the right decision at that point in time.
Yes.
And so I had the idea. I wrote the first couple episodes. We shot the pilot, brought in a female writer, Ashley Lee. We wrote that, wrote the rest of the season, and we did the 8 episodes, and it was good. And it was a real scrappy bunch. And we, in Dallas, Texas, we had people that had never been on film sets or TV sets. And, I had been on a lot of sets, and then, we brought some actors on that had experience. A lot of them didn't have experience.
Right.
And we built something. And then season 2, because we had put all these balls in motion, and not just on the film side, it was the business side, it was the event side. We were doing stuff in Dallas on a professional level, on a very indie level, right? And on a national level. And so people started wanting to join, and we added a director of photography, Jamario Washington. He had worked on many films and in the business he was so dope, and he transformed the look. Because season 1 looks totally different than season 2. Season 2 is like this dark feel. And so we went from like 30 people in season 1 to 150 in season 2.
Wow.
And yeah. And then I become less of a director and more of an HR manager. But yeah. So yeah, long story short, that's how it came about and how we kind of grew.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I haven't gotten to season 2 yet, but I'm excited.
Oh, we might need to do a recap after that.
We're gonna have to. Right.
I need you to watch season 2, because when you ask me questions about season 1, I'm like, man, that was 3 years ago. And I know a lot of people haven't seen it. But get to season 2.
Okay.
Get to see I want to talk to you afterwards. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yes, we definitely have to do it, because season 1 is like so funny to me. I laugh so hard. And I'm literally hooked. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I used to do my workout and everything and my yoga. I'm like, I'm addicted. Now I got to watch one more. I'm going to watch one more. And then I'm going to watch one more. And then I'm thinking, oh crap, I just got my cardio. I could do my yoga later.
Yeah.
Right. Cause I want to watch this so good. And it was what's so attractive to me is we can relate to that.
Yep.
Like, it's very relatable.
So I want you to watch season 2, because one of my favorite storylines is 2 of the favorite characters people said from season 1 was Eric, and Eric is a drug dealing bookworm.
Yes.
Like, the only reason he's selling drugs is because he didn't hit the zip code lottery. So it was decisions he had to make, but he's really smart. He's really smart. And then everybody loved the work wife, which is Carmen. So they get a full story in season 2. So Carmen in season 2, she is dealing with this when she's in her mid-30s, and she wants to climb up the corporate ladder. She wants to be in the C-suite. But at the same time, she also wants to have kids. And when you get to your mid-30s, it's harder every year after like 35. You become a geriatric pregnancy. And so we did, like, when you say real life stuff, like, that's the whole storyline. We explore what it's like being a career woman and being a Black woman in corporate America, along with wanting and the desire to be a mother and have a family.
Wow. Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be on and cracking because, and I think that you hit it right on, because Eric was really very standout. And I think I liked him the most because, listen, I'm country as all country, right? So Dallas is, I'm from Texas, Beaumont, Texas. Okay. I was born and raised there. And then I turned 18 in San Diego. I was like, I'm out of this place, right? So I've never really been to Dallas, but I heard it's an amazing place. And my brother actually moved there. He's in Plano. I mean, it's not
just north of Dallas.
Yeah, he's in Plano. So I've been to Plano. Yeah. But when I saw it's in Dallas, Texas, and how Eric is selling drugs, and Mark gonna do it too. That's what I'm gonna do it. Yeah. And I love how he showed them, like, no, you don't want this.
Yeah. He said it's like the sword. He described it like the sword of Damocles, which, if you don't know what the sword of Damocles is, it's every leader. Every leader, every king, anybody that has a power position always has a knife or a sword hanging over their head, because somebody's always after you.
Absolutely.
And that's how Mark sees the drugs, the partying, all this stuff, the lifestyle, the independent, but he doesn't understand that, like Eric said, it's a 10-day contract. Right.
Wow.
Like in the NBA, that's a sports reference because I'm a sports guy, but it's a sports reference in that there's players that get signed to 10-day contracts, literally 10-day contracts. And that's all you have. And that's what you have to prove yourself. You have to live in that moment, because there's going to be an end to this lifestyle.
Right. Yeah. My dad, well, again, country is all country. I was like on the farm. My dad said drug dealers live like hogs, right? They live good for a little bit, but it don't last long.
Absolutely not. That I love that saying. I remind like my grandpa. My grandpa used to have a saying. He said, "Rolling stone don't gather no moss."
That's the truth. You gotta. You know what's so funny though is those old school sayings. They really mean some stuff, right? We thought, oh yeah, whatever, okay, but here we are, still talking about it. We remember it.
Oh yeah, it's just like marketing slogans. They condense some very impactful stuff into us because those folks are really smart. And I say those folks like my grandpa. I think he didn't make it past second or third grade,
right?
And one of the smartest men I know. He has a way of like taking stuff, condensing it, like processing it, and then go.
Absolutely. And you are right on, Jerry, because my grandpa, 6'7", we was Indian reservation in Texas. He was unable to read. I didn't know that because he was smart. He always dressed in a suit. He was like with three-piece suit and Stacey Adams shoes on every day. Every day. Like for no reason, like, where you going, Papa? Like, I gotta look good. You gotta look good. But I remember when I had about 5 or 6, I kept giving him cards for his birthday or Father's Day or whatever it is. And he would just take the card and shake it. And I would cry. Look, he said that's what I do. Next. Give me the next one. I say. And literally I would cry because this is around the age I'm reading. So I took my time to find it, to say the right words. And they was like, Papa can't read. And then I was like, what do you mean Papa can't read? Because we do all this. He had a business. He had a lumberjack company. He cut down lumber. He did. Like, how come, what do you mean Papa can't read? Like, that was like, mind-blowing. But like you said, they were still smart. Reading, I found out at a later age, is not a sign of intelligence.
No. There's many, and there might be something to, how, and I don't know if this is true, they say when someone is blind or they're deaf, the other senses like are heightened. I don't know if that's true, but it could be a sense like if you can't read, then you overcompensate in other areas and you have heightened sense of perception. If you can't read, you might look at the world differently and comprehend what's going on. And maybe he was a super talented lumberjack.
Right, yeah, because he knew how to cut down that tree. He knew exactly where it was going to fall, how much we got to do. He did all that. Big trucks loaded with things. But it was so crazy because we were watching something and it said about how Black people wasn't allowed to read.
Because
go ahead.
It was like literacy it was a way of controlling.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So that people know that, but if you have knowledge, you have a key outside of your circumstances, or you can visit worlds outside of what you currently are, and that sparks your imagination. The imagination is a dangerous thing.
And they didn't want us to have that.
A point I was going to make is that, and so the ability to absorb and comprehend information isn't that nobody has the market cornered on that. That isn't relegated to one race or one subset of people. It's usually what you're exposed to. So I'll give you an example. I grew up in South Dallas, and I went to high school, very low performing high school, rough, lean on me high school, right? And when I went to the University of Texas, I was terrified. And I thought everybody there was so much more well prepared for this opportunity and this experience than I was. It took me about a couple months to realize that wasn't the case. Nobody worked harder than me, and nobody could analyze a situation and move like I moved. Now, they might have had, a head start on the education part where they were exposed to, they were exposed to, let me turn this off, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So they were exposed, they went to better high schools, better education.
Right, yeah.
So when they got to college, they knew a little more than me when it came to the books. but the playing field was leveled when it came to work ethic and the ability to pivot and move. And so that taught me right then the difference between me and somebody that went to Highland Park, which is the rich neighborhood in Dallas, like the billionaires. Like the difference between me and them was just the access to the information. But if we were both given the same information, I had a chance to, beat them at whatever.
Yeah, I'm winning. Like, put me in, coach. I'm winning. Yeah,
Yeah.
And I love that because that's very true. I talk about that because I'm an athlete, right? And my family is athletes, and it was a born with this, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't train on that and you don't work on that, the people who wasn't born on that are really trying hard to get what you were born with.
Yeah.
So same thing when you go to college. They had all that stuff, but it was easy. They didn't think about it. And so you recognize the fact that, wait a minute, like, give it to me. I'm going to work it out. I'm going to make it happen. And that's a skill in itself.
Yeah, no, that's a big skill to have in life, is the ability to figure it out and the ability to pivot, because everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, to quote
Mike
the
Tyson.
great philosopher Mike Tyson. But everybody, there's the plan you have, and then the realized plan. And that's the same thing with like filmmaking. Is every set day I go to set with a plan. I have a shot. I have every single shot for every single scene mapped out. I want a wide, I want a medium, I want an ISO, and the ISO is just an over the shoulder, close up. So I want wide, medium, close up, and then I might want a specialty, and I might want a close up of an earring or a ring or something that helps tells the story, right? Well, I get to set, and it's the fourth scene of the day, and we're running out of time, and I'm like, okay, this whole scene is going to be one shot. I don't get everything I want. It's just going to be one shot. We're going to do some camera movement, and we're going to do this, and it's going to work out, right? That happened a couple times when we were shooting season 2, because we shot for 5 months, right? And it was the end of the day, and actually sunlight was going down, and I was losing sunlight. So, and we're not coming back to this location. We're going to get this right now. So I said, so there's I think it's in episode 4 or 5. There's a scene in the conference room where it's 4 people, and that's a lot. That's a lot of people to have in one scene. I was trying to think if it was 4. It was actually 4 people.
Yeah.
So what I told the DP, I was like, he's like, we don't have much time. I said, all right, this is what we're going to do. You're going to start with this one person sitting at the conference table, and you're going to pan the camera as their lines are delivered, right? So you're going to end on the last character on the last line, right? And we're not going to cut at all. And so that turned what would have took us 2 or 3 hours into 30 minutes or an hour, right?
Wow.
It put a lot of pressure on the actors. I'm like, listen, if y'all don't get it right, we got to redo it. It's one shot.
Are you going to look crazy on film? You're going to look crazy on film. It's up to you what you want to do.
Well, if you look crazy, I'm just going to cut it.
You won't be in this scene. Absolutely. It's called editing. Yeah.
I'm sorry to the actors that got cut out of season 2, but
I know. You know the drill. You know the drill. What's so great about that is I love the word that popped out to me is pivoting, right?
Pivoting. Mm-hmm.
And right now with this COVID-19, if it didn't teach us anything else, it taught us we must pivot. How did it affect you?
The show or me personally?
You personally.
Me personally. Well, a lot of my money is made off filming events and filming commercials or filming corporate videos. So that significantly hindered that, right? I've been able to do a few things because I still do some editing. So yeah, that it kind of put things on a hold. But I will say this on a positive side, we finished shooting Wash season 2 in October 31st or October 30th. Anyway, at the end of 2019. And we had our premiere in January, right before the pandemic hit. So we got that out of the way. We had 500 people from Dallas show up to watch the premiere of season 2. But then the whole country stopped. Yeah. And on the plus side, I was able to sit and edit the entire season for 16 hours a day for a couple months, right?
Wow.
And my wife couldn't pull me away from my editing station because where were we going? We
Yeah,
weren't
we
going
ain't got
anywhere.
nothing to do. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
just give me my food. I'm good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that it was whiskey and food, and I went at it for a couple months, and I just edited nonstop. So
Right.
if I didn't have that opportunity, it would have taken a little bit longer. And then on the bad side is that the guy that did our audio. Now, if y'all don't know, post audio in film and TV is so important.
Hmm.
Audio's half the battle, which in season 2 that was one of my focuses. Like, let's get better at audio. And well, the guy that does our post audio, he's also a producer and an actor. The guy that plays Eric, he's an essential employee from 9 to 5. So we kind of lost him because he couldn't focus on doing audio because he was just so
Hmm.
busy. I had to go find somebody. At first, I was looking in Germany. I was trying to find somebody in Germany that could do our audio,
Wow.
and I found somebody I liked. It was just I didn't have money coming in from other projects, right, to fund this project.
Hmm.
And so I did I called around for a couple of weeks, and the guy in Germany, I liked him. He did good work. I was almost ready to say, all right, I'm just going to find a way to pay for this. And then I found somebody through another producer in Dallas in New Mexico. So I found somebody that would do it for cheap. He wanted the experience, and I mean cheap relatively, right?
Oh
It
yeah, I
still
know what you
costs.
mean.
Yeah,
Trust me.
like
Yeah, nothing really cheap,
yeah, nothing's
but
really
in
cheap.
in yeah yeah in comparison, yeah.
Yeah. And so I had to find that, and that was an obstacle, and it was tough. We wanted to do a promo shoot, and how you gonna do a promo shoot with the viral disease going around? So we ended up doing it, but we did it social distance. We did it by stations, so we don't really have any group shots. We did it but it ended up being better than a regular promo shoot. We ended up with 200 social media videos, 900 pictures, and 25 interviews. So
Wow. See,
we just made all that content, right?
right,
Um, so it was
and
just about like pivoting, right?
and that's exactly it. That's the best example you could give for
Yeah.
pivoting. We would like to thank you, Jared, for that.
You're welcome. No, like you got to do it with everything. And in every crisis, there's an opportunity to do something different. We had a billboard. We had 2 billboards in Dallas, Texas,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Now, that opportunity wouldn't be available in normal circumstances. But during a pandemic, out of home advertising gets more affordable.
Affordable. Yeah, because nobody going nowhere. We trying to give these billboard spaces away. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we can still take advantage of it as like independent filmmakers,
Correct. Yeah.
and because we're going to reach people we don't normally reach, right?
That's
So,
awesome. That's awesome. And that's what it's all about. I found that I say it all the time that this pandemic is like a timeout.
hmm
Like the whole world is on a timeout. And I saw on Instagram somebody was saying it's like we're in detention and people keep talking, and so our time get longer and longer. And it was so funny because I remember those times we in detention, and what you learned during this timeout is, are you going to be able to pivot and keep going? Or are you
hmm
going to sit there and be like, well, I'm going to just wait. I can't do anything right now, so I'm not going to do anything.
yeah.
Right. And so I found that it was very scary because, like I said, I'm a woman of a particular age,
hmm
and my friends are, older people. Was like, I don't want to do Zoom. I just want to do normal. I'm like, no, you're gonna have to do
Yep.
Zoom. No, I just prefer face to face. We all prefer
Yes.
face to face. So those people who refuse to do it, and I'm gonna quit my job because they trying to make me do Zoom meetings. Like, girl, you crazy? Like, everybody has to do Zoom. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Those people are going to become like the dinosaurs,
Oh,
right?
they're gonna make
Distinct,
themselves obsolete,
obsolete.
distinct, right? Like that. That's another thing. You have to be open to change, right? If you're not open to change, then I, yeah. If somebody told me they didn't want to do Zoom or they didn't, for me being cutthroat, like I'm very open and helping people, but I do have standards of excellence that I will only work with certain amount of people.
Right.
I've had people send me a script, and this is for a small example. They'll send me a script
Yeah.
and it won't fit the conformity of the professional way of doing it.
Right.
I'm like, you could have a great idea. I'm never going to get to it unless you get with the, the times, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if you're so hell bent on being different, well then go and make it and prove it and do it different. But you have to be willing to change. You can't be so stuck like, oh, I write my
I'm not.
scripts in Word document, like that's how I'm gonna do it, right? I'll tell you that. I'll tell you this, and I encourage folks, and I encourage myself to continue as I get older. Hopefully, is to always be open to trying new things. I wish I had a phone near me. I'm talking on mine, but I actually contemplated shooting season 2 with not 16:9, but 9:6.
So like this instead of
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Oh,
I contemplated it. I
right, right.
contemplated it, but I didn't. I didn't pull the trigger. But
But you're thinking about things though. That's how it all. Yeah.
and like those folks that say, "No, I don't want to do Zoom." That's kind of the smallest amount of change you need to be comfortable with, because there's going to be a lot of change on the horizon. Because some of the stuff that's come with the pandemic is here to stay.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? My husband, for instance, he had a big office in Uptown. Who'd be mad, you know. And I've always worked from home.
Yeah,
This is my normal. I'm like,
it didn't change.
yeah, welcome to my world, guys. Like,
Yeah,
hello. But, he was like, no, he has to have the big desk, the big, all this for his clients to come in and
yeah.
see. And I'm like, well, that's not going to be it. Yeah, you can't make new relations on Zoom. I'm like, yeah, you can. Like, that's
Mm.
how I meet most of my people, and I've made friends, people I interview. Just like we said, we're gonna talk after that second series. We're gonna do stuff. I have made real life connections with
Yeah.
people I met off of Zoom. So he was one of the people that was like, now he done set up his own office. He now at the house. It's gonna be hard to go back. His secretary works amazing from home. She loves it. She does more work. It's going to be hard to get people back in that building.
I hope, and I see this from, so my wife works in corporate America. She has been moved to 100% virtual now, where she
Yeah.
used to go in every day. So I hope more companies are open to
Mm-hmm.
the fact that maybe sometimes you need to be in the office, because I don't think anything's ever going to truly like replace the human contact. But
Correct.
you don't need to be in the office every day if
Every day.
you're not. If that day is a lot of administrative tasks or a lot of brainstorming or whatever, where I don't need
Mm-hmm.
to be in the same room as you, then give that person 2 hours of their life back,
Right.
and they'll be happier and they'll want to stay with your company.
Yeah.
I agree, and like I said, I think that is a new normal, and there's going to be stuff that carries over. Like I've always said that Zoom, this video conferencing has always been around, but people didn't really adopt it like they should.
Absolutely.
Now it's normal. It's life.
Oh yeah. Now it's like, oh my gosh, we can train online. We could do. I've
Mm.
been training my clients worldwide a long time on from what I've been doing. Yeah.
And to your point about meeting people like online and not just in a dating aspect, but
Online. That
meeting
works too,
people.
guys. Yeah.
There's this writer from New York. Her name's Norma Stanton. So she found Wash like early on in season 1, and she saw what we were doing for season 2, and we talked over Instagram, and we stayed in contact. And recently, she sent me a script that she had written, and it's amazing. And I'm like, that's my next project I want to work on. So we've already had a couple meetings. I've never met her in
Awesome.
person. We've done
Right.
we chatted on Instagram, and then
Yeah.
eventually we did like a Zoom, and now we're in the process of like, all right, how do we plan this out? Like, let's get
Wow.
and she's in New York, I'm in Dallas, and it's all because of the ability to be open to meeting people online. There's real creeps online, but then there's some real genuine people that
Right.
have real talent
Hmm.
that you can collaborate with.
Yeah, and I really do believe that's the future. I
Yeah.
really, really believe that because it's called World Wide web for a
Mm-hmm.
reason. Now we
Yeah.
have a bigger reach.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always been creeps. There's been creeps in the bar. When you go to the
Yeah.
bar, there's creeps sitting right next to you. So
Yeah.
that's nothing new.
Yeah.
And it's all about your ability to be able to communicate with somebody,
Yeah.
and to really listen to what they're saying, and really, being genuine.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you can't help but make a
Yeah.
connection, if that makes
And
sense.
it also helps. Oh,
That's okay. We can still hear you.
sorry. Yeah, I got a phone call, but
Yeah.
it also helps weed out the BS, because a lot of times you can overwhelm people with an environment, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like let's take TV or film for example.
Let's do it.
If somebody called me out to LA for a meeting at Warner Brothers Studio, and I have to pull up to Warner Brothers Studio and valet my car and walk into this big building and sit in this big office, they,
It's
I mean,
intimidating.
I've been in those bigger offices because I've done internships and stuff like that, but not like it's still intimidating. I don't care who you are. So that's leverage in and of itself
Yeah.
alone, right? But if you break down all those walls and talking just like we are, it really comes down to the substance of what you're saying.
Right. I like that a lot because I didn't think about it, but that is very true. Auditions, and then you go and you nervous as all hell
Yeah.
from the moment you get in the car. You're like, oh, and you worried all the way there. Then you get there, you got to have the right stuff. This is your credentials. Can I get in? Okay, park up. I mean, literally, you
Can
are
I
hyped
can,
up.
can I give you an example from season 2 of
Please
Wash?
do. Yes.
So we had a casting call, and in season 2, we added 4 new reoccurring roles. Because
Wow.
we were an ensemble, we needed to add 4 characters around those new lead characters. So those lead
Okay.
characters need every protagonist and they need a sidekick or an
Right.
antagonist or something, right? So we added these 4 new characters, and we had almost 200 people inquire about these 4 roles. So we held a casting call, and it ended up being all day. And I never went out to the lobby, but everybody that was in the lobby was like, it was crazy out there with so many people, which warms my heart.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
You like, was it?
so yeah. We do this now, but in all actuality, we had this one character, and it was originally supposed to be Clint. Clint
Okay.
was a CEO, like CEO type. And there was a lot of talented women in Dallas. And so we had a lot of women inquire before the casting call. So I said, you know what? Let's just make it Clint or Claire, and let's see what happens.
I
Right?
like
We
that.
ain't got to change any of the dialogue. We
Right.
just keep the woman as a alpha male type,
Absolutely. Yeah.
alpha female.
Female. Yeah.
So they came in, they auditioned, and Brittany blew it. She tried out for Claire, and we shot her really wide, right? Like a wide shot. And she's a small woman. And in my, I guess, prejudice was like, I don't see that small woman as a CEO type, right?
Hmm.
Shows my ignorance, right?
Yes. I'm like, don't
Um,
let me stand up, boo. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
know. And this is good for me to grow as a director.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
when we had callbacks, and as a person, right? You don't need
Mm-hmm.
to go and look at, and my wife would give me hell. She has given me hell,
Yes.
because she's that small in stature CEO type.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So when we did our callbacks, which was the second round, we didn't invite her. And one of my writers was like, "Why the hell didn't you invite her? She was the best one." And I was like, "Well, this isn't that." And she was like, "Jared, basically you're stupid, right?"
Right. Yeah.
And so I hit Brittany up and I said, "Hey, Brittany, can you do a audition, like it's called a self-tape. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
They're doing a
so
lot now.
yeah, so she did a self-tape, right? And she sent it back and she shot it tight, kind of like how you're framed right now.
Right.
And she murdered it. Like she killed. There were other good people that did Clint and Claire, but she killed it. She got the role, didn't even come back for a second time in person, did it all virtually. She got the role, and I couldn't imagine anybody else
See?
in that role, and she murdered it. Like she murdered it. Like
Yes.
that's not even who she is as a person. Like
Wow. And that's what's so great about acting and when you can become something else.
Yeah.
And the same thing about like you as a director to take something that you are thinking about, a writer, and then see it,
Mm-hmm.
not just in your head, because that's where you see it first,
Mm-hmm.
but to actually make it come to life. Can you give us tips on, when I say focused, how did you take that washed one
Mm-hmm.
and then made it to this amazing season 2? What was your intentions behind it? What was some of the things that moved you that way?
So we were good. I thought we were good, but good wasn't going to get us the grade. So what I did,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard, but creators and people in general need to be like this. Try to block out your friends telling you how great you are, and really evaluate it for what it is. And
Yes.
not that I'm not proud, but I knew it wasn't, our process wasn't going to get us the grade. So I tore it all down. I rebuilt the entire team, new producers, new writers. I mean, people came back and carried over, but it was new
Right.
to them because it was a new process,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It was like everything was systematic, from the writer's room to pre-production, to production, to post-production, to marketing. I had a team for every single phase of production, right?
I love
And
it.
so that was my whole approach, was like, I don't know if what I'm doing is right the second time, but I know the first time wasn't going to get me the grade. So let me reimagine it and rebuild the team. And that's why we grew so much, because I took a lot of interviews, and I had people come in, and I gave people an opportunity to chase their dream. And in return, they gave me an opportunity to chase my dream. So it's a
Awesome.
dual, it was mutually beneficial. So that's kind of my approach. And from the creative aspect is, don't be afraid to let people take care of your baby. And because it'll be something more than you ever imagined, and it'll be greater than what you imagined. And I will say this: there were people on that came from season 1 to season 2 that was resentful of how big we were growing, and that's because you don't have as much influence, right? But you have to be willing. I would rather have
Mhm.
a percentage of something than 100% of nothing,
Nothing. Say it,
right?
Jared.
Like it, nobody checks for good. Nobody checks for average. So if
Mm-mm.
you're not striving to be better than average, and stick out amongst the pack, then what are you doing it for? And that's
Right.
that's my whole approach. And you know, being a leader and growing, you probably have experienced this. Like you grow tough skin, you grow new muscles that you
Yeah.
never knew you were going to have.
That's the truth. And I love it. I love how you just said that, because it's so important for people to pick up what you're saying. You said it so smooth. I'm going to break it down, though. I'm going to break it down. Listen, he said, don't be afraid to start the hell over. Tear it
Mhm.
down and build it back up. Um, and don't be afraid to let people help you with your baby, because um, I know exactly what you mean, because a lot of times we get stuck on an ideal and we want it our way, just this way. I
Mhm.
don't care what you say. I just want it this way. And someone may be able to give you a view that you didn't even see it from.
Yeah.
And so be willing and being open to people can really move you to transform from being good to great.
Yeah. And
And then go
I'll
ahead.
give you an example real quick. I'm working with writers. I'm trying to find good projects to go in the future. I'm a writer myself, but I can only write my project. Other
Right,
people have other stuff, so we can all write at the same time, right?
right.
And so we had this one writer. He sent me a dope script, and I was like, "Yo, you're talented, right? I can't do that movie because I ain't got enough money to do that movie, but
Right.
maybe we can work on something else." And so we gave him an idea, and he gave us something. We're like, "Yeah, that's not quite what we were thinking. Can we?" And he kept saying, "Well, I'm just really not that type of writer. I'm not that type of writer."
Hmm.
And I said, I didn't say these words, but I'm like, okay, I'm the type of filmmaker that gets stuff to the finish line.
Right.
If you want to be a type of writer, go be a type of writer. Now, do you want to get it done? Let's work
Bam.
together. Let's work together. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like you said, I, you, you might have a great idea. I might be able to enhance it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
let's be collaborative. And sometimes my ideas will be whack, right?
Right.
That's a good thing about my writer's room and Wash. Like they would say, "Hey, Jared, that joke is corny. It's whack,"
You're like,
right?
what? I thought it was
And
so
I'm like, "All
funny.
right, cool. All right, we're gonna throw that away." But if you come out of the gate like, "Yeah, that's not what this script is," or "I'm not that type of writer," I'm not okay. Like,
Listen, you blocking your blessings. You blocking your blessings, which
yeah.
is, it's true. And what's crazy about it is, um, a lot of times we are so stuck. Like we talked about it earlier. Those are
Yeah.
people that goes distinct. They're gone, extinct. They're no longer around. And
Mhm.
maybe you had a good idea, but now it's gone. It's always evolving. And I love the fact that you say, I don't want yes men or yes women around me.
Mhm.
That's not how my life grows. And it's weird to see that in this industry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Jerry. When you have that person that has everybody's going, yeah, 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 you the man,
Yeah.
you right,
I hate
that was
it.
amazing, yeah, yeah, bro. I'm like, okay. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes. Remember that
Yeah. Yeah.
show?
Yeah. I hate it. I hate it. And listen, in season one, I have nobody telling me how to do something. Season two, I had everybody telling me how to do something, but usually they tell me after we got done, "Hey, you should have did it this way. You should have did that way." I'm like, I need you to come tell me that in the moment. Because and that's one of my other philosophies is genius doesn't lie after the fact. Genius lies in the moment. Can you
Damn.
pivot in the moment and make something happen right then? I can watch a movie and say, "Yeah, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's
Oh
wrong.
man,
That doesn't look
Monday.
good."
That's crazy. That's that Monday quarterbacking, right?
Yep. Yep. And that's the worst. And I hate like yes man and all. "Oh man, that's so dope. That's so dope." I'm like, it might work.
Yeah, you think so? You're all right with that? You think it's
what
gonna
what
be okay?
what I like to people is like, "That's good. Have you ever thought of it this way?" What like
Right,
build on to what I'm thinking, right?
right,
And that's
right.
why when in season one, I was a director of photography, producer, writer. In season two, I didn't touch the camera, and my director of photography, Jamario, made it so much better. One of our lead writers, Ashley, came with some dope ideas, and she made it better. I didn't resent her for that. I don't begrudge her for that.
Right.
Our set design person, I didn't think of all those set design stuff. She did the set design stuff,
Right.
right?
That's
And
awesome.
Byron Hardy, like he was a producer and he played Eric. Like a lot of ideas, he'll whisper in my ear, and I'll go like, "Hey, Hardy has a good idea. Let's try this," right? And it's not mine. I mean, he did it, and that's why when I say let people take care of your baby, when you give the actors a script, understand it's going to come out different than you imagine it, right? Now,
Hmm.
only keep it as a director and a filmmaker if you like it. Now, if you have something in your head and what they did isn't better than what's in your head, have them do it your way.
Yeah, go
But
back. Yeah. Hmm.
but my philosophy, there's some directors that saying, say it like it's written and do it like I said. That's okay if that works for you. If that works for you. Mine is here's my vision. This is what I'm thinking. Go and show me what you got. What is your take on it? And sometimes people will surprise the hell out of you.
Yeah, I love that, because a lot of times when we put people in a box, it might be the wrong size.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, let them do what comes natural. And you said it right on. If it's not what you like, you're like, no, no, let's just go back to what I was thinking. Like, thank you for that. But let's just go on back to what we were going to do in first.
And I don't think people ever make wrong decisions. They just
Oh,
make their
no.
decision, right? And especially in filmmaking, like if an actor makes a decision to do something with a character, it's not wrong. That's what you chose. Like,
Right,
hey, let's shoot it. Like we got plenty of space in our memory cards. Let's
right,
shoot it. And then maybe when I get in post production, it's better than what I'm seeing, right?
right. I really do. I really do like that because some directors are like that, and a lot of times they are not. Like I want it this way and this way only, and
Hmm.
I think I have known those type of directors, so I'm always scared to act because I'm like,
Yeah,
wait a minute, because I am me, like
yeah,
I'm me, so I get nervous if I have to be very tight.
yeah, yeah. And I give people leeway. Now, if
Yeah.
they go too far off the reservation, I reel
Right. You
them
got to
back
reel them
in.
back. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Like, hey,
absolutely.
but I will get, like, if you want to take for yourself and you have a way you want to do it, I will give you that take, right? Like,
Right.
let's do it again. Like, we spent all this time setting up these lights and setting up this set. I will give you your take. Do it your way, and then
Right.
we'll do it my way, right?
Right.
But I've been pleasantly surprised with. I think that's with management and period. If you get to a point, again, there's no right or wrong way. If you come out with a dope film
Correct.
and you did it, like I heard Quentin Tarantino practice Pulp Fiction all the way down to every single step. So when they
Yeah.
got on set, they weren't on set for a long time. It wasn't
Right.
many takes. It was like, bam, we done practiced this so much, we got it. But for me, sometimes that feels robotic. So some of my favorite lines are ad libs by actors, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like that R&B album, like our R&B song. At the end of every R&B song,
Whoa.
they start getting their ad libs and stuff like that. That's the stuff you like, right? You listen to a Jodeci song, you want to hear him say, "Oh yeah," like you like, you know, that's the stuff that brings personality and stuff
Right.
to it. So I'm open to it, but I understand some directors that aren't.
Right. Right. Like you said, there's no wrong way. It's just your way. And I like that.
I had a situation in season one where season two where we had a location and we had to shoot for 25 hours. This is not advised. This is not in any rule book. If we were union, it wouldn't have happened. But
Yeah.
we're indie and we couldn't
Yeah.
afford to come back to this location.
Right. Yeah. That's
So-
like, you know what that means? Yeah.
Yeah, so, and kudos to the crew and cast because they stood there toe to toe all weekend and did
Wow.
it 3 straight days, and the last day was 25 hours. But so we had a scene at the end, and we needed to leave. Like everybody needed to go, and people were in my ears like, "Jerry, you don't want to do this. Jerry, you don't want to do that." I said, "Hey, this is how it's going to go. We're going to get this shot. I'm going to cut to that shot. We're going to cut back to this shot. Bam, bam, bam. The scene's over, and we're out. Let's go home."
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
So
Done.
that was one moment I was like, "No, don't play. Let's get down to business."
Yeah. We don't have time.
And that's the key to being a director. And you probably know this is like directors edit in their head, right? And so whenever somebody has been in my ear and I've been like, "No, this is how it's going to be cut. Like, I got it. Don't worry about it." But yeah, so sometimes you got to be, if you're running out of time, you're like, "Hey, this is how it's going."
Right.
And if you have some time, you can play.
And that's very true. What's so great about it is I cannot wait, first of all, to see season 2. Like, as soon as I'm done with my yoga and I'm done with work today, I'm back on it. I'm back on the couch,
Please.
watching it. So tell us, before we wrap it all up, what are you looking forward to? Like, what's coming up for you? What can we expect?
So, as I mentioned earlier, I am working on my own feature/pilot. I love television shows. I want to do television, but there's a business aspect to this where if I make it into a feature film, if it never gets sold, I can still sell a feature film, right? I can still distribute it. Because this is a battle I'm going through right now. It's pilot versus feature film, right?
Huh.
Can
you tell people the difference?
Yeah, so a pilot I have an idea for a TV show. So I go shoot the first episode, right? And you take this pilot and you go show it to studios, executives, and they say, "Okay, we greenlight it, let's order a season." Or as in, have you heard of the new show Bel Air?
Yes.
So this guy from Bel Air, he didn't make a pilot, he made a sizzle, like a 3-minute trailer of a drama, Fresh Prince of Bel Air. It was a fan video. It went viral, and NBC ordered 2 seasons, which is unheard of. I think it was NBC that did it. Somebody ordered 2 seasons of it. Nobody gets 2 seasons off the bat. You get 1 season. If people like it, you will re-up, right?
Wow, he got 20 days. He didn't get 10 days. No.
Yeah, he got 20 days. So a pilot is basically just, your first episode of a TV show. If they like it, you get money to do the rest of it. A feature film is like whatever you see in theaters. It's a 90-minute version. Okay. So instead of 30 minutes, you're doing 90 minutes or 100 or 2 hours. And the big difference in that is people are more accepting of indie films, and you can find a home for an indie film.
Got it.
Like Spike Lee's first indie was She Gotta Have It. It wasn't big budget. It was very good. But if you go back and watch it, you're like, wow, it's really in one location most of the time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but people are open to that, right? Whereas with independent television, it's hard to make good independent television every single week, right? Like with season 2, we released essentially what would amount to 3 feature films because it's 9 episodes,
Got you.
right?
Okay.
So that's kind of like what I'm working on, is that I have 2 projects like that where they could be TV shows, but we're going to try to make them into feature films so that we could go either way, right?
Very
Like
cool.
I'm not straddling the line. I'm like, all right, let's go hard on a feature film, and let's make a great feature film, but we can also sell it as a TV show.
I don't call that straddling the line. I call that smart. That's just plain over smart. Like,
Yeah.
listen, I want to hedge all my bets just in case. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and that's
Diversify your
smart.
portfolio.
There you go, boom. There you go, right there.
But yeah, so working on that, and that's kind of like, I'm one of the people, and I battle this, not to get too long-winded, but
No, come through.
I see people work so fast around me in like independent film. I'm like, damn, I should be working fast. I should be working faster. But then I stop myself. I'm like, people work fast and they work sloppy. Like, I'm going to work slow and intentional, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, if I do 2 feature films over the next 2 years, I think that's a big accomplishment, you know.
Yes.
And if it takes me 3 years, then it takes me 3 years, right? It took 2 years to do season 2 of Washed. So.
Well, some people don't ever get it done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you like, that's a long time. Like, no, some people never get it done. So just by having a finished product.
Yeah. And I'll say this about, and if you're a filmmaker out there, get it done. Like, figure a way to get it done, right? There's so many people that because there's different phases of production, and they all require a different hat, right? And they require different skill sets. If you don't have the skill set, go and learn it, right? I didn't know how to do Photoshop. I really wasn't a trained editor, but I learned and I studied and I practiced, and there was nothing that, and I'm not perfect. I have a lot of flaws, so I don't want that to come off as, but
what, Jared, get out of here.
I know I am very flawed. Ask every one of my ex-girlfriends, but but yeah, I would say one of the keys that I've seen good filmmakers is they pivot and they learn.
Yeah. So if you don't take anything else from today, seriously, pivot is very important, and learning. And you say learning, but I call that focus, right? So you kind of hone in and focus on your craft, learn what you want to do, like really study it, you know. And you said it, you moved with intentions. You want to be intentional in what you're doing instead of saying, I'm going to just put it out there. And all I say to people, you know, like you say, you're looking into other people who are doing it fast, stay in your lane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're doing well. Stay in your lane. Your lane is good. You know what I mean? Your lane is great. How can we stay in contact with you? How can we see what's going on?
Yeah, I'm very active on Instagram at The Creative Couch, at Wash Series for as long as we're marketing Washed, which those things have different life cycles. We could be talking about Wash 2 years from now.
Right.
But so at The Creative Couch, at Wash Series, I'm on Facebook and I'm on Twitter as well. Not as active on Twitter. I kind of just lurk and read news. But yeah, and if anybody ever wants to send me an email, jcouch at The Creative Couch.
Awesome. I'm so happy we got to meet. I am so excited for you in this new area of being a father. I cannot wait to watch that because that's like mind-blowing in itself. And I'm really honored that I'm able to speak with you because, you know, you have really showed that you can come from poverty and work to what you want in life. Like you said, you're not done. We still got things to do, but you're moving with intention towards the things that you want to do. And that's just transforming. Yep.
I thank you so much. It's been a great, you know, talking about all this, and, you know, you have a great perspective and outlook on life. And
thank you.
I appreciate being on here. I'm honored. I feel like, and especially that you've watched the show. When you watch season 2, please email me. Like, let me know what you think, because I love seeing people's perspective from the outside.
Yes.
And seeing, because you just saw season 1, so it's fresh. Like
it's fresh. Yeah, I can talk about all the episodes.
Yeah.
Look.
But the thing about it is the transition will be fresh. Now, I want to know if it's jarring, if you like it, if you prefer season 1 to season 2. Let me know. Like, I want to know, because it's always interesting to see, because it's my baby. I've lived with it for so long that I need other people's perspective.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell everybody who's listening too. You go out, you binge watch season 1, and then binge watch season 2, and then give back to them and let them know, because it's amazing.
We need those reviews on Amazon. Everybody leave 5 stars if you like it. Leave 4 if you don't.
That's your only 2 options, and I love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and we'll stay in touch. And till next week, you guys, stay fit.